You're listening to The Main Street Deal, part of Main Street Media. I'm Jordan. It's Monday, August 10th, 2026. Today, we're walking through one real listing on the market right now. Here's the business. It's a residential HVAC company in Fort Myers, Florida, down in Lee County on the Gulf Coast. This one comes off a current biz-buy-sell listing. It was established in 2021, so it's young, only about 4 years under the current owner. The asking price is $350,000. Annual revenue is running around $540,000. And the listed seller's discretionary earnings, the cash flow to a working owner after add backs, is $127,000 a year. The listing calls it turnkey and profitable, and it doesn't spell out an employee count, which on a shop this size usually means a lean crew, maybe a tech or two, with the owner still selling jobs, pulling permits, and sometimes turning a wrench. Hold on to that, because it changes the math when we get to the money. Let's do the numbers out loud. Asking price of $350,000, seller's discretionary earnings of $127,000. That's a multiple of 2.76. Call it 2.8 times earnings. For a small residential HVAC business, that sits right in the normal band. These trades typically trade somewhere between 2 and 3.5 times SDE. So you are not overpaying at the sticker, and you are not getting a steal either. The margin is worth a second look too. $127,000 of SDE on $540,000 of revenue is about 23% to the owner. That's healthy for HVAC, and it tells you a real person is doing real work inside this number. Now the financing, because that's where a lot of buyers fool themselves. Run it as a standard SBA 7AA acquisition loan. 10% down is $35,000 out of your pocket at the table. You finance the other 90%, $315,000. At 9.3% over 10 years, your payment is about $4,042 a month. Annualize that, and you're sending the bank roughly $48,500 a year in debt service. So take the $127,000 of SDE and subtract that $48,500. You're left with about $78,500. That is what's actually yours before you pay yourself a market wage for the work you're doing. And remember, in a shop this small, you are the labor. If you have to hire someone to cover the owner's technical role, that $78,000 gets thin in a hurry. 3 things I'd chase in due diligence, and they're specific to this business. First, the revenue mix. In HVACs, one-time installs are lumpy and low loyalty. Recurring maintenance agreements are the gold because they carry into next year no matter what. Ask for the exact count of active maintenance agreements and the renewal rate, and find out how much of that $540,000 is service and maintenance versus one-shot replacements. Second, the license. Florida requires a state HVAC contractor license, and if the company runs on the seller's personal license as the qualifier, then the day he leaves, you may not legally be able to operate. You need to know whether the business holds its own license or whether it's borrowing the owner's. Third, the age. This shop was born in 2021. That means you have maybe 4 years of financials and no track record through a real slowdown. Verify that $127,000 SDE against filed tax returns and look hard at customer concentration, because young trades businesses often lean on a handful of relationships the owner built personally. The flags here are yellow, not red. Yellow flag 1, the youth of the business and the thin operating history. Yellow flag 2, the missing employee count and the strong chance that the SDE is really the owner's own labor dressed up as profit. Neither one kills the deal. Both one change what you're actually buying. So here's the verdict. This is a pursue with your eyes open. The single biggest reason is the price. 2.8 times earnings in a fast-growing Gulf Coast market with a post-debt cushion of roughly $78,000 for an owner who can do the work is a fair financeable entry point into a trade that isn't going anywhere. But it's only a pursue if you can operate it or afford to license and staff it, and that hinges on one answer. So the first question I'd put to the broker before anything else is this. Does the company hold its own Florida HVAC contractor license independent of the seller, or is the seller personally qualifying the business? If it's the seller, everything else waits until you know how you'd replace him. That's it for Monday. Find all of Main Street Media's shows wherever you listen. Subscribe, leave a review, and I'll see you Thursday for an operator story.